All right, what's up, everyone? For Week 12 of the NFL season, NFL show that we do, we're going to do a very shortened version. McLovin is on his way. We're going to quickly go through. McLovin's on his way for Thanksgiving. He's on his way home to Rhode Island, so I may be able to call him for his picks. But what I'll do is I'll just go over how everybody did last week, and I'll go over the spreads with him on the phone, and we'll figure it out from there. So, here's the deal. Last week in the normal division, we had Steve Goldman go 9-5. We had Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome go 11-3. CV Gunn went 10-4. Cali Guy 6-8. Dan McLean 10-4. Vadix 9-5. Lev Maker 8-6. So the updated standings there. In first place, there's a tie between Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome and CV Gunn at 101-59. Third place, we have Dan McLean at 98-62, 3 games out. There's a tie for fourth between Vadix and Lev Maker at 95-65, 6 games out. Sixth place, we have Cali Guy at 89-71. He's 12 games out. And then last place, Steve Goldman at 83-77, 18 games behind. In the second division, we have Jennifer Lynn, who went 10-4 last week. We have Blake Rios, who went 10-4 last week. And Dennis Ramirez went 9-5. So in first place in that division, we have Jennifer Lynn at 68-45. Second place, we have Blake Rios at 66-47, 2 games out. And then last place, Dennis Ramirez, 59-54, 9 games out. Now, other people that made their picks, Dennis Guerrero, I think his name is, he went 11-3. Bandana went 9-5, and then IOR Steelers went 7-7. All 3 of those were eligible this week because they've picked 2 weeks in a row. They're eligible to win a gift card if they beat McLovin. So let's figure out how me and McLovin did last week. So what we have is last week against the spread, I went 7-6-1. McLovin also went 7-6-1, so nothing's changed there. For the season, McLovin is 75-79-6, and I am 72-82-6. I'm 3 games out there. And then as far as picks went, I went 7-7, and McLovin ended up going 10-4. So McLovin is 101-59 for that, and I am now 92-68. I am 9 games behind McLovin. As far as people who beat McLovin last week, we have Yes to Anything That Is Cool Awesome gets a gift card, went 11-3. And Dennis Guerrero gets a gift card, who also won 11-3. So remember, gift cards will be paid out at the end of what do you call it? The end of the Super Bowl. So we're going to go to Week 12. Hopefully McLovin answers his phone. I don't think he's still at work, but he could be. Let's just pray to God he answers here so we can get this going. What you'll do is this week, just put in your picks like normal, and come on, what are we doing here? Where's my phone? Where's my stupid thing here? Here we go. All right, let's see. See if he answers. He better answer. There's no way he. So anyway, while we wait for McLovin, who's actually here now, so I mean, last week was a funny week, man. I mean, it was a funny week. Like I said, I play the spread every week. I bet online, and there's usually one game that just you think is a sure win, and you just get screwed. So if you go back to Week 11, which is week that just happened, the games I bet, I didn't touch the Pittsburgh-Tennessee game, but I touched. Only Sunday games is what I touch. I picked Jacksonville to win against the spread. I think they were up by, the spread was like whatever it was, but they covered. I did a teaser is what I did, a 7-point teaser. So Jacksonville covered. I picked Green Bay plus 9.5 with the teaser, and I can't even fucking score a point. So that killed me. And I picked, I picked the Saints just to win with the teaser. They won. I picked the Giants plus 10.5. They obviously covered, and they won the game. That was a game that's unbelievable. You can't even. Kansas City may look back on the season and rue the day they lost to the 1-8 Giants. I picked Buffalo plus like 14. They get demolished by 30. what I don't understand is, look, there's a lot of questions about Sean, or is it Sean McVay? It's whatever the hell his name is in Buffalo, the coach. The deal is this: you're 5-4. Okay, you're literally in the sixth seed in the playoffs at this point. Okay, and the bottom line here is, why are you in the middle of potentially a season where you could actually make the playoffs for the first time in God knows how long? You're going to bench Tyrod Taylor for this guy nobody's ever heard of, just to see what he can do. Why would you? It's like that's like you're winning the lottery, right? You're winning the lottery, and all of a sudden you say, "Hey, I just want to see what I can do instead of the lottery." What's up, McLovin?
Hey, how we doing?
All right, so here's the deal. We're going to go right into, I was just talking about why the head coach of the Bills, in the middle of potentially the first year that they can make the playoffs in God knows how long, we're going to bench Tyrod Taylor just to see what this no-name guy can do, and potentially could cost them the playoff spot this year now.
Well, it's interesting because, the Bills started off, 5-2, and they were, then they got smoked by the Jets, and then we were following the game pretty closely with the 5 interceptions by
Peterman
there.
Yeah.
I think they're going back to Taylor, so we'll see what happens. I think that the chance they still, if you look at the standings, I think they're still right there as far as the wild card team. They could possibly get into the wild card because the AFC is so bad this year, but I don't know what they're thinking with benching Taylor, but they really have to. They're 5-5 now, I think. So they have to probably go 4-2 to finish the season and make the playoffs.
Sure. So we're going to go last week. I'm just going over everything with everybody here in the video here. Last week, Steve Goldman went 9-5. Yes to anything that is cool, awesome went 11-3. CV Gunn went 10-4. Cali Guys 6-8. Dan McLean 10-4. Vadix 9-5. Levemaker 8-6. Yes to anything that is cool, awesome is tied with CV Gunn at 101-59 overall. And then this guy Dennis Guerrero went 11-3 last week. As far as what we did against the spread, we both went 7-6-1. You still have a 3-game lead there. And regular just pick'ems, I went 7-7. You went 10-4. So you're also at 101-59. You're 9 games above me, but you're in a 3-way tie now for the overall lead with yes to anything and CV Gunn. Now, as far as that goes, 2 people won gift cards last week. Yes, and Dennis Guerrero. So congrats to them. They went 11-3. 11-3. Yeah. So we're going to go right into the spread for Thursday's games. Thanksgiving Day, 12:30 p.m. We have the Vikings 8-2, 3-1 on the road against Detroit, 6-4, 2-3 at home. Minnesota on the road, favored by 3.
I'm taking Minnesota -3.
All right, I agree. Next up, we have 4:30 p.m. Los Angeles 4-6, 2-3 on the road, going into Dallas to face the Cowboys at 5-5, 2-3 at home. The Chargers are favored by a point on the road.
Oh boy, that's interesting. I'm going to take the Cowboys +1.
All right, I'm taking the Chargers -1. 8:30 p.m. game. Giants 2-8, 1-4 on the road against Washington, 4-6, 2-3 at home. Washington favored by 7.5.
I'm going to take the Giants +7.5.
All right, I'm taking Washington there. So we go to Sunday, 1 o'clock game. Tampa Bay 4-6, 1-4 on the road against Atlanta, 6-4, 2-2 at home. Atlanta favored by 9.5.
Give me Atlanta -9.5.
Okay, I'm taking Tampa. Next game, we have Cleveland 0-10, 0-4 on the road against Cincinnati, 4-6, 2-2 at home. Cincinnati favored by 8.5.
Cincinnati -8.5.
Okay, I'm going to take Cleveland +8.5. Next up, Tennessee 6-4, 2-3 on the road against Indy, 3-7, 2-3 at home. Tennessee on the road favored by 3.5.
Tennessee -3.5.
Okay, we agree. Buffalo 5-5, 1-4 on the road against Kansas City, 6-4, 3-1 at home. Kansas City favored by 10.
Oh God. Buffalo +10.
I agree. Next up, we have Miami 4-6, 2-3 on the road, going into New England, 8-2, 3-2 at home. Patriots favored by 16. I'm also doing that. In other Patriots news, I'm looking at ESPN. Field Yates. The Patriots have released veteran defensive end Cassius Marsh. Yeah, and they signed defensive end Eric Lee off the Bills practice squad. And the Seahawks waived defensive end Dwight Freeney. The Seahawks waived him.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened there. I know he was with them just in a situational pass rush role, so I don't know why they would cut him. But I don't think he's a fit for New England. Just because they do so many different things on defense. I don't know how many snaps he'd get, but we'll see what happens.
All right, we got Carolina 7-3, 4-1 on the road, going in to face the Jets 4-6, 3-2 at home. Carolina favored by 4.5.
Carolina -4.5.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, Chicago 3-7, 1-3 on the road, going into Philly 9-1, 5-0 at home. Philly favored by 13.5.
Oh God, these are some big spreads. Chicago plus 13.5.
Taking Philly. Seattle 4:05 game. Seattle 6-4, 3-2 on the road, going into San Fran 1-9, 1-4 at home. Seattle favored by 6.5.
Who are they playing?
San Francisco in San Francisco, favored by 6.5. 6.5.
San Fran plus 6.5.
All right, I'm taking Seattle. Next up, 4:25 game. Denver 3-7, 0-4 on the road with Paxton Lynch starting against Oakland 4-6, 2-3 at home. Oakland favored at home by 5.
Oakland -5.
I agree. Next up, the Jacksonville Jaguars 7-3, 4-1 on the road. Oh, wait a minute. I jumped the gun. 4:25 game. New Orleans 8-2, 4-1 on the road against the Los Angeles Rams 7-3, 3-2 at home. Rams favored by 2.5.
That should be a good game.
Yep.
Give me New Orleans plus 2.5.
-2.5, you mean? Oh, plus 2.5, yes. Yeah, I'm taking New Orleans as well. All right, Jacksonville 7-3, 4-1 on the road against Arizona 4-6, 2-2 at home. Jacksonville on the road favored by 4.5.
Oh God. Jacksonville -4.5.
Okay, 8:30 p.m. game. Green Bay 5-5, 2-2 on the road against Pittsburgh 8-2, 3-1 at home. Pittsburgh favored by 14.
Oh my God. Green Bay plus 14.
I'll take that as well. And then the Monday night game, Houston 4-6, 1-3 on the road, going into Baltimore 5-5, 2-2 at home. Baltimore favored by 7.
Baltimore -7.
Going to take Houston plus 7 there. Now, other news. Well, let's go right to the picks real quick, then we'll get to the other news real quick. So here's the deal. So picks, let's just go right up to the top here. We got, so the first game, Minnesota, Detroit. Who do you have?
Minnesota.
Okay, we both picked Minnesota. Los Angeles and Dallas. Who do you have?
Dallas.
I'm taking the Chargers. New York and Washington. Who do you have? The Giants.
Washington.
Okay.
Washington.
Yeah, I agree. Washington. Tampa and Atlanta. Who do you have?
Atlanta.
I agree. Cleveland, Cincinnati. Who do you have?
Cincinnati.
Taking Cleveland. Tennessee, Indy. Who do you have?
Tennessee.
I agree. Buffalo, Kansas City. Who do you have?
Kansas City.
Taking Buffalo. Yeah, it's a big one. Miami, New England. Who do you have?
New England.
Okay, I agree. Carolina, Jets. Who do you have?
Carolina.
I agree. Chicago, Philadelphia. Who do you have?
Philly.
I agree. Seattle, San Fran. Who do you have?
Seattle.
I agree. Denver, Oakland. Who do you have?
Oakland.
I agree. New Orleans, Los Angeles. Who do you have?
New Orleans.
I agree. Jacksonville, Arizona. Who do you have?
Jacksonville.
I agree. Green Bay, Pittsburgh. Who do you have?
Pittsburgh.
I agree. And then the last one, Houston, Baltimore. Who do you have?
Baltimore.
I'm taking Houston. So, real quick, Raiders have fired defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr. and made John Pagano the defensive play caller. John Pagano used to be the defensive coordinator, I think, of the Chargers.
Yeah, his brother is Chuck. John Pagano, and he used to be the linebackers coach with the Chargers. I remember him back then when Mike Nolan was there. But, Ken Norton, look, Oakland, they have a lot of, Khalil Mack, and, they have a lot of defensive talent. I don't know if this is a good time to do a change, but obviously Fox thinks a change is necessary. I don't know, even with the firing with the guy from from Denver, McCoy got fired. I don't know if these firings are coming from the head coach or from up top in the ownership. But to make a change like this, halfway through the year, or a little more than halfway through the year, is interesting. But we'll see. After the next 6 games, if they made the right decision.
All right, listen to this. Cleveland, who's 0-10, can still make the playoffs if the following 47 things happen. So in Week 12, so listen to this. In Week 12, the Browns have to beat the Bengals, the Chiefs have to beat the Bills, the Titans have to beat the Colts, the Patriots have to beat the Dolphins, the Broncos and Raiders have to end in a tie, Texans have to beat the Ravens, Cowboys have to beat the Chargers, Panthers have to beat the Jets. That's Week 12. In Week 13, the Browns have to beat the Chargers, the Pats have to beat the Bills, the Broncos have to beat the Dolphins, the Jaguars have to beat the Colts, the Chiefs have to beat the Jets, the Titans have to beat the Texans, the Steelers have to beat the Bengals, the Lions have to beat the Ravens, the Giants have to beat the Raiders. In Week 14, the Browns have to beat the Packers, the Colts have to beat the Bills, the Jets have to beat the Broncos, the Chiefs have to beat the Raiders, the Pats have to beat the Dolphins, the Bears have to beat the Bengals, the Redskins have to beat the Chargers, the 49ers have to beat the Texans, and the Steelers have to beat the Ravens. Okay? In Week 15, the Browns have to beat the Ravens, the Broncos have to beat the Colts, the Chiefs have to beat the Chargers, the Dolphins have to beat the Bills, the Jaguars have to beat the Texans, the Saints have to beat the Jets, the Vikings have to beat the Bengals, the Cowboys have to beat the Raiders. In Week 16, the Browns have to beat the Bears, the Ravens have to beat the Colts, the Chiefs have to beat the Dolphins, the Chargers have to beat the Jets, the Pats have to beat the Bills, the Steelers have to beat the Texans, and the Redskins have to beat the Broncos. And then in Week 17, the Browns have to beat the Steelers, the Chiefs have to beat the Broncos, the Colts have to beat the Texans, the Bills and Dolphins have to end in a tie, the Pats have to beat the Jets, and the Bengals have to beat the Ravens.
Wow, whoever sat down and did that's a lot of work. I mean,
and they're saying the Browns would make the playoffs at 6-10 if all of that happened.
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't. What did they give like an odds on that happening?
It's probably one in a billion.
Yeah, if you put $10 down, you win $1 billion. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think they're going to get they're not going to get out of this week. I don't think. I think they're going to lose this week, so I think it's all null and void.
All right, last thing before we go, on the firing of Raiders defensive coordinator Ken Norton Jr., they interviewed Raiders defensive tackle Eddie Vanderdoes. And Eddie Vanderdoes, in response to that, says, quote, "I'm just a rookie." On his thoughts on his defensive coordinator getting fired.
Oh, his thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm just a rookie.
Yeah, he's right. He doesn't. I mean, he doesn't know. I mean, as a rookie, you're taking direction from a lot of different people, not just the coordinator. And I'm glad that the guy didn't have any comment. And he's right. He is just a rookie, and he really doesn't really have much to say. I'm glad he didn't. I'm surprised that a lot of these guys, if they're asked a question like that, they'll give a stupid answer. So kudos to him for not giving a dumb answer.
All right, man. Thanks for coming. We'll have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.
You too.
All right, man.
All right. See you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys, that was it. Remember, put your picks in before Thursday's game at 12:30. So anything after 12:30 is disqualified, and you will rue the day that you don't put your picks in. And get ready for something this week that will happen, as well as our normally scheduled football next Wednesday. Thanks for watching, guys.